I recently got a job to cover the grand opening for a club, and I figured this is the perfect opportunity to review a lens. So in the last episode, I reviewed the Pentax SMC FA 31mm f1.8 Limited. This time I'll be reviewing its longer brother, the Pentax SMC FA 43mm f1.9 Limited. It was released back in 1997, and just like the 31mm f1.8 Limited, it is still in production at the time of this review. So you can still get one brand new. However, unlike the 31mm Limited, this lens doesn't share the same legendary status in the Pentax community. At least, not that I know of. That said, it's still a pretty decent lens, as you shall soon see. Design-wise, it's also very similar to the 31mm Limited. Both lenses share the same vintage stylings. They both have a metallic body, clicky aperture ring, and the same screw autofocusing system. If you don't know what screw autofocusing is, well, I covered it in the last episode. You can go check it out if you are curious. So, without wasting any more time, let's see some test footage. So just like my last review, I'll be adapting this lens to my A7s with a Pentax K to Canon EF mount adapter and a Canon EF to Sony FE mount adapter. All footage will be recorded in 4K using the Atomos Ninja V external video recorder. So first things first, the bokeh. And it's pretty good. Far from the best that I've seen, but still a pretty decent performer. Here's how it handles a busy background. It's a little more rough, but nowhere near as rough as the 31mm f1.8 Limited. In terms of details, this lens is able to capture plenty, and with good contrast. Given that it was released some years before the 31mm f1.8, I was half expecting the 31mm to outperform it. But looking at the footage, I think both lenses performs on the same level. And this is a good thing, as the 31mm was a pretty good performer. And just like its 31mm brother, it doesn't have the retro vintage look. None of that softness and dreaminess, none of the characteristics you get from a vintage lens. This could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on the kind of look that you like. As for color fringing, I can't quite tell, but I think there may be a little bit of it here and there. You can take a look for yourself and make your own conclusions. Flaring is pretty minimal, but there is definitely some loss of contrast when shooting directly into the light source. Now it's time to see the maximum sharpness this lens can achieve. Wide open, the image appears just a little bit soft. At f2.8, the softness is gone as the image sharpens up. By f4, everything starts to look crispy. And somewhere between f5.6 and f8 is the perfect sharpness. Beyond f11, diffraction starts to make the image look a little soft. Overall, I think the 31mm is slightly sharper than this lens. Wide open, this lens has noticeable vignetting, but stopping it down to f5.6 and the vignetting is pretty much gone. So in conclusion, the Pentax SMC FA 43mm f1.9 Limited does not perform as well as its shorter brother, but it's still a pretty decent performer. Personally, I feel that 40mm is the sweet spot for an all-in-one focal length. However, for the price that this lens demands, it really makes it hard to justify getting one. I mean, for less money, you can get the Canon 50mm f1.4. So just like the 31mm f1.8 Limited, I recommend getting this lens only if you love vintage lenses. Or if you are a Pentax fanboy. Until next time, see ya! For those of you who wish to see the video that I shot for the club, I've placed a link in the description below. Do let me know what you think.